What is up, guys? This is Nightmare, and today I'm going to be bringing you all my Stamina Sorcerer Maelstrom Arena build called Storm upon request from comment section. So if you didn't see my first stream, I was farming sets and I wasn't able to get a group, so I jumped on my Stam Sorc and completed Maelstrom for the first time since Morrowind. And this is the build I used. Nothing has changed from past patches. I kept exactly everything the same and just tweaked the CP and the way I did it. So with that, let's get right into the build. Starting off, I'm going to go over the armor. So these armor sets that I run are the Spriggans and Vicious Ophidian. So the reason why I went with Spriggans is because it's the easiest to get, and you can use Two-Fanged Snake if you have it. However, I do not have that set, and the weapons are a little bit harder to get. They're more rare. Same as Vicious Ophidian weapons. Those are also very rare and hard to get. So I went with Spriggans, since it is easy and cheap. And these armor sets in this playstyle is for score runs and no death runs. Currently, I haven't done a no death run or posted a high score or whatever on leaderboards just because I haven't spent enough time in Maelstrom, but I plan on getting to that in the future. So first off, on our dual wield bar, we are running two Scarab Stings daggers. Now these are a named Spriggan's Precise daggers dropped from a boss or something like that. So the reason why I went with the precise weapons, because first off, these are very easy to get, very cheap. I bought both of these daggers for 10k total. Now they are precise, but like I said, they're cheaper than the sharpened ones, and they are easier to get. So that's why I went with the precise Spriggan's daggers. Next up, we have a Maelstrom bow. So I know usually Maelstrom builds are for people who don't know how to complete Maelstrom. So if you do not have the Maelstrom bow, you can just swap it out for any other bow. I don't have one on me right now, but any bow will work. This will just increase your score, so that's why I have this. And then the sharpened trait is going to be desired. I haven't been able to get one yet. So that just goes to show you don't need end-game stuff to complete Maelstrom. As long as you know mechanics, you can get through it. Alright, so moving down to the armor, I am running a two-piece Veladress set. Ideally, you would want both these medium divines. I have a heavy impin helmet and a medium sturdy shoulder. I just haven't been lucky enough to get the desired trait and weight. So the reason why Veladreth is so strong in Maelstrom is you got your weapon damage, and then 20% when you deal damage to some of those 3 disease spores. So you have like 3 targets that will get hit by this 13k disease damage. And this can occur every 9 seconds. So this is going to help you burn down bosses, and it absolutely just one-shots ads, which you face a lot in Maelstrom. You got lots of ad fights. So these just burst, absolutely nuke small low health target ads. Moving down, we got our Spriggan's Jack. By the way, these are all going to be stamina enchants, all divines when you can get them. Spriggan's Jack. So the Spriggan set is giving me 2 and 3 piece max stam, 4 piece weapon damage, and 5 pieces that huge physical pen. If this was all gold, it would be 4k physical penetration, which is 1k less than Two-Fanged Snake, which is still okay. Spriggan's is still a good set. And with Two-Fanged Snake, you kind of have to build up to that 5k, and sometimes you can drop a couple thousand or whatever. So I like the consistent 4k physical penetration. Anyways, moving down, we got a Vicious Ophidian belt. This should be divines. I haven't gotten it yet. Now, Vicious Ophidian set. Why is this set so important for Maelstrom? Because every second you kill something, you're going to get tons of stamina back. Look at that, 2100 stamina gains. Also, we aren't using Gap Closer, so that major expedition every 20 seconds, which is 30% movement speed, is huge. Also a little bit more weapon damage. This is also reducing the cost of your stamina abilities by 8%, so reduced cost is going to be huge for this patch. Just like my PvP build using Marksman, we get even more reduced cost. Reduced cost is so strong now that they've taken it out of the game. And then our 3-piece Minor Slayer just increases our damage done by 5%. This says Dungeons and Trials. It does apply to Maelstrom also. And then 2 and 4-piece are Weapon Crit, which is good for stamp sorc since whenever we crit, we can get healing back. Moving down, we got Spriggans, and Vicious Ophidian boots. So hands and legs Spriggans, and then our boots are Vicious Ophidian, and then 3 Vicious Ophidian jewelry. I have a gold necklace, doesn't really matter what you have. And then we're using, you can even use these in purple if you don't have, or blue if you don't have purple or gold. We are using 3 weapon damage enchants for maximum damage. I don't really feel the need for reduced cost or stamina recovery enchants, since we do have other sources of sustain if you are struggling with sustain, which I will go over later in skills. But for the most part, you can just heavy attack and you'll get lots of stamina back. For potions, I ran out of the potions you would use, but potions you want are Restore Stamina and grants Major Endurance. You also want the Weapon Crit, which is, I believe, Major Savagery, and Major Brutality. Reason for that is we want the stamina back. We want 100% uptime on Major Brutality, which we'll get anyways from one of our skills, but we also want the Weapon Crit, which is going to increase our damage done and help us fly through the levels faster. Second off, we have max health, max stam food, blue food, excuse me. If you're also struggling with sustain, you can switch to the max health stam recovery food, but for maximum damage output, this is the food you want to use. And that covers my gear, potions, and food. So with that, I'm going to go over my abilities next. Alright, so let's go over the skills real quick. Starting on the bow bar, I'm running Poison Injection. Now the reason why I go for Poison Injection is it's going to give you a nice strong dot on enemies, and it's also going to allow you to reach out and tag enemies. Usually you can finish them off too with a Poison Injection. On certain rounds you can just stay in one spot and as the ads run towards you, you can hit them up with a Poison Injection or Heavy Attack Poison Injection combo, and that usually finishes them off. If it doesn't, you can run up and heavy attack them with your dual wield. Next 2 abilities are going to be paired together. These combo very nicely in Maelstrom Arena. So Endless Hail, this is going to be buffed by our Maelstrom bow. If you don't have it, it still hits really, really hard. It's a ground-based AoE that does physical damage every half second. Looks like this. So anything that stands in this this circle here is going to get melted. Now the way we combo with this Endless Hail is with Rearming Trap. So Rearming Trap is going to root anyone that stands or walks over the trap seen here. As soon as they get hit by this, they're going to get locked down inside of your Endless Hail and they will be unable to move. So usually when you're doing Maelstrom, you're going to, once you learn the portal spawns, you're going to run up to your portal, drop your Endless Hail, drop your trap, and then you can turn away, look at a different portal, charge a heavy attack, and Poison Injection. This ad here will die to the Endless Hail and Rearming Trap dots. Also, Rearming Trap is giving us Minor Force, which is 10% increased crit damage, and then that huge dot over time. Next up, the main source, most important ability, main source of healing for a Stamina Sorcerer doing Maelstrom is Crit Surge. Now this is giving us weapon damage by 20% Major Brutality, but we are using potions for that. The main reason why this is important is whenever you crit, you will get 3k health back, and this is going to happen every second. So, Hurricane, which is a huge AoE, as long as you are near enemies, you are going to be getting health back. This is our main source of healing with this build. Next up, we have Bound Armaments. The reason for this is we get a little bit of extra armor and spell resistance stats. Heavy attack damage by 11%. This is huge since I like to, on my dual wield bar, I will run up to a portal, charge a heavy attack, and then hit the ad as soon as it spawns. So my heavy attacks hit really hard with this build, and then max stam by 8% increases our damage done. Flawless Dawnbreaker on the bow bar, reason for that is just 5% extra. Actually, oh no, this is the dual wield bar, sorry. On the bow bar, I have Ballista. Now, Ballista I use because it's very cheap, 150 ultimate cost on a sorcerer, and look at that damage. Almost 42,000 unbuffed physical damage over 5 seconds. Buffed up with Major Brutality, we are now looking at almost 45,000. So this hits super hard single target. This is what I use to nuke down high health targets like the Daedros in the final rounds, or any bosses. I drop the Ballista and I go to town on them. Switching over to the dual bar, now I use Flawless Dawnbreaker instead of the dual wield ultimate. Now if you're struggling with getting heals, definitely take Rends. This is going to give you tons of healing to yourself and also a very huge dot over 16 seconds. But this is about 57,000 over 16 seconds. The Ballista does a couple 10,000 less in less than half the time. So Ballista is definitely better. However, Rends is AoE. I like Flawless Dawnbreaker because it gives me extra weapon damage, and I very rarely use Flawless Dawnbreaker. I always use the Ballista usually. Unless it's like an AoE trash fight. I'm kind of low on health, I need a dot or a big hit. I can nuke down lots of adds with the AoE of Flawless Dawnbreaker, because that 12k initial damage. And then Bound Armaments, again, we have to have that double bard. Starting off with our first ability, we got Blood Craze. Now I take Blood Craze just because I'm not used to the very minimal amount of healing. I like to get a little bit of extra healing from Blood Craze. It's slightly less damage, not very noticeable, and the extra healing is nice. You get almost 1100 health every 2 seconds. And then this is also a very strong dot you can put on adds or bosses. You're always going to apply this dot to high health targets. You don't always have to apply it though to adds. Next up we have Rapid Strikes. Now I take Rapid Strikes over the other morph, which I don't remember what it's called, but Rapid Strikes is just more damage. It's going to increase in damage for each hit by 3%, and then final hit does 300% more damage. This hits really hard. And this allows me to be my main spin bull on bosses, and if I don't kill a add with a heavy attack or whatever, I can hit them with a Rapid Strike. Hurricane I use on the dual wield bar just because it has a very odd duration, 15 seconds. And this is a nice AoE dot that circles around you, and then this is also giving us a major armor and spell resistance buff. And then our movement speed is also going to be increased by 10% with minor expedition. So we get both major and minor expedition. We move very fast with this build. And the dot is also very strong. Next up I use Steel Tornado. Steel Tornado is an execute and absolutely melts through AoE fights. With if we got lots of adds, I will hit a Steel Tornado, or if a boss is super low, I can hit Steel Tornado a couple times since it should do more damage than Rapid Strikes in a shorter amount of time. Long period of time I will Rapid Strikes. If it's like a couple percent left, I can animation cancel Steel Tornado. So that is the abilities. Now, if you're struggling with sustain, like I said, you can use, it should be under Dark Magic. Yes, Dark Exchange morphed to Dark Deal. And if you decide to use Dark Deal, you would have to take off Bound Armament. So you would do it like this. Dark Exchange morph to Dark Deal. On the bow bar, we would slot Dark Deal there. Magicka will now be turned into Stamina. And then for the dual wield bar, since we are no longer using Bound Armaments, you can use something like your Fighters Guild Expert Hunter. So it would look like this. And now you're getting a little bit of extra weapon damage on the dual wield bar, and you really don't even have to use expensive pots now. But you do lose out on damage because rearming Bound Armaments gives that huge heavy attack damage and a back stam and a little bit of tank stats. So that is my ability setup. Next up I'm going to go into the most important part, which is the champion points, which I may make a few changes along the way as I am constantly changing CP. Alright, let's do the champion points, the most important part of Morrowind. Since champion points was changed so much, a lot of people don't really know what to do with their champion points right now. So I'm going to try to get into a little bit more depth with this. So starting off with Blue Tree, I do 75 into Mighty. This is for 14% extra poison, physical, and disease damage. This is going to buff all the damage we do, including the Veladreth set. Now, I don't go more than 75 because with only 25 more points, I'm only getting 1 more percent. If you want, you can use less points into Mighty. I use 39 points into Piercing as of right now. You can use it less if you're using 2-Fang Snake and 2 Sharpened Weapons. I probably should use more into Piercing, so I may move that around here in a second. 28 points into Precise Strikes for 12% extra crit damage. And then 28 into Thaumaturge for 12% more damage over time. I may need more points into here also, since everything we do is a dot. As you can see, Poison Injection, Endless Hail, Rearming Trap, all 3 of those are dots. Blood Craze, Rapid Strikes, and Hurricane are all dots. The only thing we do that is not a dot is Steel Tornado. So we have lots of dots with this build. Next up, I use Master at Arms, which I actually should not be using. So let me take points out of here. And I have 16 points into Physical Weapon Expert, and I'm doing that because we do lots of heavy attacks. So I'm going to throw 1 more point into there. Threw a couple more points into Piercing. That looks good there at 41. Precise Strikes, let's just go up to there. 15% seems good to me. 15 and... yeah, I'm going to put a lot more into Piercing just because I don't have Sharpened Weapons. Alright, so that is my Blue Tree setup now. 17 Physical Weapon Expert for heavy attack damage and light attack damage. 37 Thaumaturge, 37 Precise Strikes, 44 Piercing, 75 into Mighty. Next up I have, for my Red Tree, 20 Spell Shield, 20 Medium Armor Expert for 1900 more physical and spell resistance. Since I'm using less into Hardy now, 58 and 58 into Elemental Expert, or Elemental Defender and Hardy for 12.33% reduced damage all across the board. This includes every damage type in the game. 31 into Thick Skins. There are lots of dots in Maelstrom Arena, so that's why I put quite a bit into there. And then I have 23 into Quick Recovery for increased healing received. This is just going to help me get more heals. Next up, we have the Green Tree. So, reduced cost of break free. We don't really get stunned too often. Siphoner isn't going to be applied to ads because they don't have regen to begin with. Sprinter, you could put some points into here, so I may move some points around to there. And then I have 10 into Tumbling right now, which you may want more points if you dodge roll a lot more, like me. And then right now I have 100 into Tenacity, 100 into Mooncalf for 15% increased SAM recovery and heavy attack increased stat gain. So I'm actually going to bring this down. I want 75 and 75. 1% is not going to be a lot, and I'm going to get 50 extra points for the 1% loss in both of these. So that's how huge the what's it called? Diminishing returns is now. How impactful it is. So I'm going to put some points into Sprinter since I do sprint quite a bit. That looks good to me. 24 into Sprinter. And I'm going to put the rest into Tumbling for almost 15% reduced dodge roll cost. Perfect. So that is my new champion point setup. 75 Tenacity, 75 Mooncalf, 24 Sprinter, and 36 Tumbling. Alright, so I'm just going to do round 1 of Maelstrom just to kind of show you the basics of the build real quick. It's not too complicated on round 1, and it definitely gets a lot harder as you progress. Hopefully I don't screw up too much. Like I said, I haven't done Maelstrom in a while. My first time since Morrowind was when I did the live stream. But I'll kind of show you guys the basics of it. So, first portal spawns here, about this area, so I'm going to drop Endless Hail in my trap. Goes off a little bit, so trap goes there. I'm repositioning heavy attack, poison injection, just like that, and then heavy attack. My rearming trap didn't recharge there, oddly enough. Make sure I keep Hurricane up. Okay, yeah, see how those ads are just completely dying to my poison injection heavy attack combo. And stuff is just melting right now. Next portal, same thing. Just drop down our dots, reposition heavy attack, poison injection, heavy attack. And I'm having a hard time keeping up Hurricane right now. I'm using a different setup. As you guys can see right now, my stamina is not dropping at all, and I am in a bad spot here. I should have been over here, was not paying attention, but I'll drop the ballista, heavy attack, rending. I'm gonna nuke this guy. Look at that. Absolutely nuked. And I run out of food at perfect time. So that is round 1. I'm not gonna go into round 2 because I'm definitely gonna butcher round 2. I suck at that one. But that is the basic of the build. Hope you guys enjoyed the Storm Stamina Hurricane, or Stamina Sorcerer.